Alright, hi guys. Today I'm going to be talking about something very, very interesting for all of us. And if you've been watching my videos since yesterday, my strategy and tips and tricks videos since yesterday, you know that I've been talking about success and results and crafting a habit of positive expectancy. I've been approaching all of this from a very psychological perspective, from the world of positive psychology, the research of positive psychology, right? And that is what we're going to be doing as well as we learn how to draft our own success plans for CAT 2021, right? Before we do that, allow me to quickly tell you about myself. I am Prankur Arora. I'm a trainer, a coach, a writer. Um, I am a published author. Wrote this book called "It's Not Funny." You can look it up. It even garnered really cool reviews from the likes of Papa CJ, Biswapati Sarkar. I hold advanced certifications in facilitation from Leadership Management International, right? And that is the school of thought that I come from when it comes to approaching all of this from uh, the behavioral point of view, right? And I co-founded this startup by the name of Thought Sutra. So yeah, that's pretty much about me. Now let's talk about the topic at hand, right? Just give me a moment. Yeah. Right. So let's talk. Let's start by talking about the definition of success, right? As we discussed yesterday, that when we think of the word success, SUCCESS, when we think of the word success, there's a lot of other things that come to our minds, right? Some of us think of happiness, right? Some of us think of friendship. Some of us think of money. Some of us think of contentment, right? Let me jot all that down. Money, joy, friends, fame, right? What are some other words that come to your mind? Fame, accomplishment, right? These are some of the words that come to our mind when we think of the term success. And why is that? Right? Why is that? Right? These are the softer things that come to our mind, but when you think of success, there's as I said yesterday, that success, even when it is intangible like happiness or joy, or tangible like money or friends, number of friends, or number of accomplishments, right? The intangible fame that you associate with it, all of this is very result oriented, very result driven, right? So what I'm going to talk about is a new definition of success for all of us to kind of pay attention to and be cognizant of, right? PRWPPG, right? So what I'm going to talk about is how I define success as being something that is progressive. Success is progressive. Right? What I mean by progressive, something being progressive, is that success is ongoing. Success is always dynamic. Success is always a journey. Success is not just a destination. You won't be successful if you get into IIM Ahmedabad, right? But for you to be successful, you have to be successful every day, every week, every month, in the entire journey for you to be able to successful at the end of the day, right? So success is progressive, right? You are successful as soon as you set a goal and you begin working on that goal. That is where I come from when I talk about success as being progressive. That success comes not when you reach a goal, but as soon as you take actions, small steps to accomplish the goal that you set for yourself, right? So success is progressive. Second is that success means realization. Success, it means realization, right? So this means that you're actually accomplishing goals. You're actually realizing the goals that you set for yourself. You don't just set goals, but you work towards realizing them. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए that you say, okay, fine, you know what, this week I'm going to finish para jumbles, but the very first day you're not even touching anything related to para jumbles, right? Then success means that your goals are worthwhile. Success means that your goals are worthwhile. Now, you might ask, worthwhile to whom? First of all, more than anybody else, more than your parents, more than your partners, more than your friends, those goals, they have to be worthwhile to you. They have to be worthwhile to you. They have to make sense to you. They have to have meaning for you. Your goals might also be worthwhile to your parents. For example, if you get into IIM Ahmedabad, they're going to call each and every one of their friends, their sisters, their family members, their brothers, their cousins, and they'll be the first ones to talk about how proud they are for you. Right? So your success will be worthwhile to them as well. But first and foremost, it has got to be worthwhile to you. So dig into your heart and figure out whether what you're doing right now is worthwhile to you or not. Right? So your goals, they can be worthwhile to everybody else in the world, but first and foremost, they have to be worthwhile to you. All right. Next is that your success, it has to be predetermined. Right? What I mean by this is that everything that you study, everything that you do, everything that you do on this journey of learning that you've set out on, it has to be predetermined. It cannot be कि आप मतलब the idea being that you define for yourself what it is that you set out to achieve. मछली की आंख सुनी है ना, तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि ऐसे आसमान में तीर छोड़ रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं पता, किसी को भी लग जाए, हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है. दैट इज नॉट हाउ इट शुड बी. Basically, the idea being, if they're predetermined, you've charted them out on your own and you've planned for them, right? Because if you're setting a goal and you're planning for it, that means that you're predetermining your success. All right, you're doing it, you're approaching it with clarity of thought, right? You need to know where you will be in 1 week, in 10 days, in 1 month. You need to have those milestones set for you, right? So define those milestones for yourself. Define your daily activities, define your weekly plans, define your monthly goals. All right. Next is that those goals, they have to be personal. They must be your goals. They cannot be somebody else's goals. For example, if your friend is also studying and your friend has made a plan, your plan should not be about following your friend's plan. Your plan should be about following your plan. It should be your plan. You should not be achieving your friend's goals or your sister's goals or your parents' goals or your brother's goals. You've got to be achieving your own goals. They have to be your personal goals. All right. And finally, G4. I've been talking about goals all this time, so they have to be goals. Right? Because when you work to achieve somebody else's goals, you will not be motivated. But when you work to achieve your own goals, your own personal goals, then they'll be worthwhile. Then you will have fun doing it, because then you will know you're doing something fulfilling. So what I'm talking about, my friends, is that success is GDA. What do I mean by GDA? Success means goal directed action. Success means what? It means goal directed action. All right. Just give me a moment. Now let me talk to you about goals. I've been talking about goals all this time, right? Let me talk to you a little more deeply about all these goals that I've been talking about, right? So if you have goals and you're working towards them, then you are successful, right? I hope you can identify with this definition. But what are those goals? How do you define those goals, right? How do you define those goals? That is something that we'll come to, right? Now the idea is that I want you to write those goals down. I want them to be written goals. Why? Because when you have those goals as written, then that means that that it is something tangible that you've done, right? You've put out all of this thought, all of these ideas, all of this motivation into the world, right? Now, when I talk about motivation, right? When I talk about motivation, what is it that I really talk about? Right? To see what motivation means, let's divide this word into two halves. Right? Let's divide this word into two halves. Okay. Now, firstly, you can see for a fact that when I divide this into two halves, let me add a letter E here and a letter C here. Right? So clearly, the first half you can see MOTIVE, motive. right? Motive and action. These are the two words that I've divided the word motivation into, right? So motive and action. Now action is another word for movement, right? Action is another word for movement. Action is another word for motion, right? To do something, to go towards something, right? That is motion, that is movement, right? And a motive is a reason, right? A motive means a reason. Motive means a purpose, right? Motive means a goal, right? So motivation, as you can see from this definition, also means movement towards a goal, movement towards a reason, movement because of a purpose, right? So motivation also is synonymous with success, in that motivation also means goal directed action that I talked about on the previous slide. It is always goal directed action. When you move, whenever you're motivated, you're always doing something worthwhile, right? So those actions are always goal directed, those actions always have a purpose behind them, a reason for them, right? So that's how we define success, that's how we define motivation, both of them being goal directed action, right? These are synonyms, these are words that go hand in hand. All right. Now, since I've been talking about goals all this time, let me talk a little bit more about these goals, right? These goals, they have to encompass every area of your life. Right now, what I want you to do is I want you to define your goal for your career, uh, for your education, for your learning maps, right? Make these goals. And as I've discussed in my previous videos as well, they've got to be smart goals. In that, they've got to be specific, right? They've got to be measurable, right? They've got to be specific, they've got to be measurable, they've got to be attainable, right? They've got to be realistic, and finally, they've got to be tangible, right? If you're talking about specific, what I mean is, for example, you define that this month I'm going to focus on grammar, right? So you do anything and everything pertaining to verbal reasoning, you finish all the parts of speech, right? First week you define, okay, fine, you know what, my specific goal for this week is I'll do parts of speech. How will I make it measurable? Every day I dedicate to one thing. First day I do tenses, second day I do verbs, third day I do pronouns, fourth day I do adjectives, fifth day I do adverbs, right? So you define those measurable targets. Is it attainable? You know yourself the best. You will know for a fact if it is attainable or not. Is it realistic to wrap up one part of speech a day? Right? What are the tangible targets? The tangible target is I'm going to study about pronouns and then I'll solve 50 questions pertaining to pronouns. Right? These are the kind of goals that I want you to work towards. Right? Define those targets. You know, if it is a 6-month journey that you've dedicated for yourself, define what you want to achieve in the first month, the second month, the third month, the fourth month, the fifth month, the sixth month. First month ko break down into 4 weeks, then define those weekly goals. And once you've zeroed in on weekly goals, finally you break that week down into daily activities and daily tasks and daily targets, right? Because when you're doing it, you're progressively realizing your success, right? I'll take you back to the previous slide. When you do this, you are being progressive, right? You're relishing the journey as much as the destination, right? You're realizing you're getting those dopamine kicks at the end of every day, at the end of every week. It's worthwhile to you because you know for a fact you want to do it. You're doing it in a predetermined fashion. You've determined the goal, you've planned for it, and this is a personal target. This is not a target somebody else is designating on you. And finally, these are actual goals that you're working towards achieving. So this is how you will define your success plan for 2021. You identify those monthly, weekly and daily targets for yourself. All right, that's how you're going to do it. All right, now how can we enable this for you? On the Unacademy platform, we have daily live classes wherein you can have all these discussions with your educator and your mentors. You can ask them your questions, you can clear your doubts. The question answers that we conduct They're conducted in the form of live polls, so you'll always compete for a place on the leaderboard if you participate in those live polls. We regularly conduct tests and quizzes on the platform as well. The idea of these tests and quizzes is to help you with your learning journey. All the courses on the platform are structured, and with one subscription you get unlimited access to it all. Like, this is how we'll enable your success. These are the subscription models. You can clearly see as the time period goes up, the cost of the subscription per month goes down. And if you use my name Prankur, you'll get an extra 10% off on any of the subscriptions that you go for. Right? These are some of the top performers from the Unacademy's class of 2020. These are the batches that we're running nowadays, right? You can start learning from all of these educators for free before deciding whether you'd want to enroll in their courses or subscribe to their batches or not, right? And the next Unacademy Champions League, right? The next test in this series is on Sunday, February the 14th. 5 p.m. to 5:40 p.m. It's a VARC test. I would urge all of you to participate, because the data that we give you, the analysis that we give you through the exam, that will help you a lot. That will help you quite a bit. We'll tell you the time you're spending on every question, what are your topic wise scores, right? And relative statistics as compared to the top performers. That will help you chart out your goals. That will help you get clarity on your level of preparation and structure the goals, right? And you stand to win Amazon vouchers if you perform well, plus an Academy subscription is up for your taking, right? So I would urge you to appear for this test on Sunday. Alright, so this is pretty much it. Thank you so much, everybody, and I hope you will have a successful 2021 ahead with these goals that you set for yourself. Make sure they're smart goals and that you have redefined the word success for yourself with this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, this was Prankur for Unacademy CAT4MBA YouTube channel. See you guys.